The gavel fell, and Mike Johnson was re-elected Speaker of the House. The vote was 218 to 215, a razor-thin margin that underscored the challenges ahead. The Republican Party, holding a slim majority, faced a test of unity. All eyes were on Johnson as he took the gavel, a symbol of his precarious hold on power. The vote was a stark reminder of the deep divisions within the House and the country. The outcome had significant implications for the Republican Party. With only a handful of votes to spare, Johnson's ability to enact the party's agenda was in question. The narrow victory exposed the fault lines within the GOP, revealing a party grappling with its identity. The vote served as a prelude to what promised to be a tumultuous session of Congress. The political climate in Washington was tense. The November elections had resulted in a near-even split between Democrats and Republicans in the House. This narrow margin meant that every vote would be a battle, and Johnson's leadership would be constantly tested. The stakes were high, with the future direction of the country hanging in the balance. A slim majority and the shadow of Trump. The Republican Party entered the 119th Congress with a slim majority, a double-edged sword that brought both opportunities and challenges. On the one hand, it gave them control of the legislative agenda. On the other hand, it meant that every vote would be crucial, and internal divisions could easily derail their plans. The pressure was on to maintain party discipline, a task that would prove easier said than done. Looming large over the proceedings was the shadow of former President Donald Trump. Trump, who remained a powerful force within the Republican Party, had publicly endorsed Johnson. However, Trump's endorsement came with its own set of complications. While it solidified support among some Republicans, it alienated others who were eager to move on from his divisive legacy. The narrow majority in the House further amplified Trump's influence. With so few votes to spare, Johnson would need to carefully navigate the demands of both moderate and far-right factions within the party, many of whom remained fiercely loyal to Trump. This balancing act would prove to be one of the defining challenges of his speakership. Cracks in the foundation. Dissenting voices within the GOP. The vote for Speaker exposed deep divisions within the Republican Party. Several Republican representatives initially withheld their support for Johnson, citing concerns over his handling of recent budget negotiations. These dissenting voices, though small in number, highlighted the growing rift between the party's moderate and far-right wings. At the heart of the dispute was a temporary budget bill that Johnson had helped to pass in December. Critics argued that the bill did not go far enough in cutting spending and addressing the federal borrowing limit. They accused Johnson of being too willing to compromise with Democrats, a charge that resonated with the party's base. The internal opposition to Johnson's speakership was a clear signal that the Republican Party was struggling to find its footing. The party was deeply divided on key issues, and it was unclear how Johnson would bridge the gap between its warring factions. The narrow vote served as a stark reminder that the Republican Party was at a crossroads. The road ahead, navigating a divided House. With his narrow victory secured, Mike Johnson faced the daunting task of leading a deeply divided House of Representatives. The challenges ahead were immense. He would need to find ways to unite his party, appease the demands of its various factions, and navigate the complexities of governing with a razor-thin majority. His success or failure would have profound implications for the country. The first order of business would be to address the concerns of the dissenting Republicans, who had initially withheld their support. Johnson would need to assure them that he shared their commitment to conservative principles, while also emphasizing the need for pragmatism and compromise in order to govern effectively. This delicate balancing act would require all of his political skills. Beyond the immediate task of party unity, Johnson would also need to contend with a Democratic-controlled Senate and a White House occupied by President Biden. The divided government would make it difficult to pass meaningful legislation.